Mic check. 1, 2. Mic check. 1, 2. Oh, I'm hearing myself. I think I have my other stream open. Give me 1 second. Can you guys hear that echo? Oh, that's why. Okay. I think I'm good. Sorry for that mishap. Um, or maybe it's just me that hears that. Hi, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to day 84 of my fasting journey. Day 84 is 3 months into doing rolling fasts, being consistent, and just overall trying to be a healthier and happier me. Um, Honestly, I didn't think I was going to get this far this quickly. So it's really surprising in a lot of ways for me, but I'll get into that in a bit. I do want to say hello to everyone in chat. I was about to wave looking at chat, but you guys would have no idea. It wouldn't make any sense. But welcome, everyone. Welcome to chat. Feel free to show your accountability. Tell us how you're doing. If things are positive, that's great. Feel free to share it. If things aren't so positive, that's okay too. This is a safe space where we can talk about our journey and how we're doing, whether you're just doing a short fast or something longer. Feel free to be accountable and share what's going on. I do think it's a really great way to build a community. I think it's a really great way to kind of give you that little push when it comes to your fasting journey, your weight loss journey, your happiness and health journey. That's how I look at it now. It's not just about weight loss, it's not just about fasting. It's really sticking to a plan and figuring out what you need to do to get to your goals or to maintain your weight. So, and I forgot to, if you are watching this later, you can do the same thing by just leaving it in the comments and sharing your progress and how you're doing. So, okay, 3 months, guys. I started fasting, restarted my fasting journey on November 6th of 2023. I have had a pretty big influx of new subscribers come in lately, so I might share or reshare who I am and what I'm about. So, obviously, I'm Jerome, finally fasting. I have been on a weight loss journey my entire life. Weight loss has not been an easy thing for me, and trying everything to lose weight for decades, being just a young kid and being overweight was already kind of a uphill battle for me. And the only time I found success was through fasting. Even after doing all the other kinds of dieting, caloric restriction, exercise, eating keto, I've done a lot of those different things. And the only thing that I've found successful that has kept the weight off of me was fasting. And I did that back in 2019. Um, and then unfortunately, after doing that for about 2.5 years, the longest of any kind of way of eating or way of dieting, however you want to look at it, I gained the weight back due to emotional eating, dealing with depression, having an eating disorder. And then I came back in 2023 of November. Today is officially 84 days, 3 months in, and I am down almost 60 pounds. Kind of just restarting the journey with a lot more knowledge than I had 3 months ago, or 2.5 years ago when I started my fasting journey, not 3 months ago, which just goes to show that when it comes to this journey, you're going to have ups and downs and things might get really tough, but it doesn't mean that you can't get back up and try it again. And I've said this before, but I'm proof of a lot of that. So before I continue on, Val with a $5 super chat. Val, thank you for the support. Thank you. Here's my official like thank you pose. Jerome from obese to a beast. Val, I think I saw that with the DM you sent today. Congrats. Val, thank you so much. Thank you so much. For those that don't know, I broke into the 150s. I initially weighed 217.8. I'm in the 150s now, but I'll get into those numbers in a bit. But Val, again, thank you so much for the support. I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone, for the support. Thank you for being in chat and showing up and showing some love. I do appreciate that. So thank you so much. So to get back to where I'm at and my story, I have been overweight and then obese pretty much my entire life. When I was 22, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. I'm 43 now. So I've been a type 2 diabetic for over 20 years. And when I first started fasting and losing the weight, the type 2 diabetes disappeared. I don't know where I'm at currently, but I feel like I'm in a much better place. I will be going to the doctor in about, I think, a week and a half or 2 weeks. I have to double check my date because I finally have health insurance again. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what my A1C is. And as soon as I get those results, I'll share that with you all as well. I'm somebody who has dealt with an eating disorder and not only being a type 2 diabetic, but somebody with high blood pressure. Before I came back and I had gained all the weight, life was pretty hard. I was sleeping 2-3 hours a day because I'd wake up every 2-3 hours to pee, and I'd be lucky if I fell back asleep. I never had energy. I just felt awful. I'd get so tired just climbing a couple stairs or walking a little bit. And now I walk every day, almost every day. If not for the last couple weeks, I think every day. I go to the gym and I lift weights. I have a ton of energy. I feel really good. And in a lot of ways, I feel like my life's done a 180 since I got back into this fasting routine. So to kind of give you an idea of where I'm at right now, I am currently working on my 21st consecutive fast. When I say 21 consecutive fasts, I mean 21 consecutive rolling fasts, meaning I'll fast for an extended period of time and then I'll refeed with a short eating window and then I will do another extended fast. So right now I am trying to get this app open to share it with you. I'm 45 hours and 28 minutes into my 21st fast, but this won't be breaking until the 90-hour mark. So I'm not eating today. I'm not eating tomorrow. I'm refeeding on Tuesday. I pretty much fast for about 4 days and then I refeed in about a 3 to 4 hour refeeding window, sometimes longer, not usually shorter than that. And then I go again. And that's my current game plan until I get to my goal weight. But I will share all of those numbers in a minute. Before I get into the next segment, I wanted to again share this thumbnail. I laugh at this pose that I made, but it just kind of goes to show like where I'm at. So I took this photo today. I took it earlier this morning or early in the afternoon. And the photo on the left, I know it's a picture of me as Mario, but this is the most recent picture I have of myself before I started fasting again. This was shot on Halloween, October 31st. And I didn't start my journey until November 6th, But this photo was taken October 31st at the photo studio I worked in. It's the most recent one I had before I started fasting. And then the photo on the right is of me today. To share what my stats were then, I was probably right around the 220 mark. I was wearing an extra large everything. I was wearing a size 38 waist pants. And then the picture on the right, I'm wearing a size small. I'm wearing small shirts now. That's a small, adult small t shirt. As far as pants go, I wear a size 30. I've gone from a 38 to a 30, but a lot more. The size 30 pants I wear now are loose. I could probably fit into a 29, but I'm waiting for the pair of 28 pants that I have. I have a pair of 28 pants that I hang up and I try like once a week to see how close I am to fitting into a 28. I currently can't fit into a 28 yet. But interestingly enough, I pulled some of my old clothes out of storage and I found a better pair, like a smaller pair of pants that fits better than the 30s I'm wearing. So that's currently what I'm wearing now. And again, I show that photo just to give you an example of this is me basically November of 2023 versus where I'm at now, January of 2024. This is literally a 3-month span of me going from that to this. And it isn't just about the weight loss and the way I look. Yes, I feel great about it. I feel a lot more confident, comfortable in my skin. All of that's super important for mental health and just being more outgoing. And I feel like I get to live my life better, but it's so much more than that. It's the other health results that come with it. It is the mental, the mindset that feeds into that confidence. I guess the best way to put it is I'm just happier. And it doesn't mean that losing weight makes you happy per se, but gaining all that weight and being obese put my health at such a high risk, bringing the diabetes back and just bringing no energy into my life. Everything has changed since then. And for me, that's a matter of 3 months. And that's just for a lot of you, it's a good way to look at where you can see yourself in 3 months. Or if you're currently a month in, what do the next 2 months look like for you? It doesn't mean that it's going to be an uphill, or it doesn't mean it's going to be an upwards trajectory the entire time. It's not always going to be the best. You're going to have ups and downs, and that's okay. I think it's really more about the consistency of your journey, where you're going, where you see yourself, and what you're going to do to get there. And I think being here and showing up and showing some accountability is really a great way of hopefully meeting your goals and getting to where you want to be. Um, I'm looking at my notes here, so I know where to go from here. So 3 months in, I know I'm moving at a much faster pace than I did back in 2019, 2020, when I had initially started losing the weight. I had mentioned in my last video that the weight I'm currently at, 159.6, was the exact same weight when I posted my very first video for finally fasting on YouTube, which is a little weird. But I've also noticed that when I look at myself then at 159.6 versus looking at myself now at 159.6, I think my body composition is a lot different. Back then, that was in April of 2020 when I posted that. COVID was like everything was on lockdown. I had stopped going to the gym. I wasn't lifting weights the same way. And since I started this journey the last 3 months, I have been going to the gym since the first week of starting this fasting routine. The gym and lifting weights has always been an important part of what I'm doing. And I really do feel like, even though I'm the same weight that I was 4 years ago or about 4 years ago, I feel like I'm at a better body composition than I was then, which I think is just a credit to the knowledge that I've had over the years and figuring out what's working for me versus what I was kind of trial and erroring back then. And I'm just hoping that I can take the knowledge that I have today and really apply it to all of you and hopefully share that so you can apply some of these things and get yourself going, get yourself motivated, get yourself to where you want to be in the future. Or just work on a plan, a strategy, use the tips and tricks to really get an edge on your health and happiness journey. So, the one thing that I do want to share though is over the last 3 months, things haven't been as motivating as they were from day one. My motivation on day one versus my motivation today on day 84 is nowhere close to where it was on day one. And I think that's normal. I think for a lot of us, we're super motivated the very first day, maybe the first week, maybe even the first month. And then that motivation starts to taper off. It's not the same kind of motivation, it's not the same kind of push. And that's been tough for me lately. I would say in the last week or two for me, I have been debating on going from a 90-hour fast to a 65-hour fast. That wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, but it's been popping up in my head because I've been doing 90-hour fasts now for 3 months. Well, not 3 months straight. I'd say because the very first two fasts that I did was a 47 and a 65. So almost 3 months, like 2 months and 3 weeks, I've been doing 90-hour plus fasts. I mean, overall, I've been doing 90 plus hours. So basically, still 90-hour fast for the last 3 months. And I've been considering going down to a 65 so that I could eat every 3 days instead of every 4 days. And I think I'll still find success doing that, whether I decide to do that or not. But I guess what I'm trying to say is that motivation is such a hard thing to keep up day in and day out because once that motivation starts to wane off, starts to taper off a little bit, you have to use the other resources to get yourself going. And that's where the consistency makes a big difference. That's where the dedication and the focus to where you want to be makes such a difference. That's where the willpower comes in. And that's kind of where like the raw brute strength kind of comes into play too. It's where you just kind of have to suck it up and just go. The motivation might not be there, but you have to use the other resources. And that's why I like to teach using good habits, building better, healthy habits. Because once you start building those better habits in, I think that's where you know that you can use your alternative motivation to keep going. Before I continue on, Robert M with a $5 super chat. Robert M, how's it going? Welcome. I don't think I've seen you here before. I discovered you through my brother today. Oh, okay. So you are new. We're from Chicago too. Hey, love it. Another local. Great to hear, Robert. A quick question: does smoking break a fast? Keep it up. Great channel. Smoking. So that's I don't know. That's a so I don't smoke. I don't vape. I don't do any of that. I do edibles, FYI, but I don't smoke. Not anymore. And I used to smoke a long time ago when I was younger. But as far as breaking a fast, that's maybe a tougher thing. But if I'm being honest with you, I feel like because I know back in the day, and I don't know if that's still true today, smoking was kind of an appetite suppressant. I don't think it's the healthiest way to suppress appetite. I don't recommend smoking just because it has a lot of negative effects to it, but that might be something that you would have to work on as you're working on your journey, because at the end of the day, smoking plus eating unhealthy, I mean, that's kind of you know, adding on to those negative things, but maybe getting the healthy habits down, fasting in a sense can maybe help get those good habits in, and maybe in turn help with the smoking if that's something you're trying to cut back on in the future. As far as it breaking a fast, I couldn't tell you for sure. I don't know what it does to the body if you're not eating, other than getting the nicotine in you. But yeah, I'm probably the wrong person to ask for that. Maybe that's something you might have to do a little Google searching on. Again, it's not something that I recommend, but actually, maybe keep me posted. I'm a little curious what your goals are and how you're trying to move forward with leading a healthier and happier life. So, Robert, otherwise, thank you for the support. Thank you so much. Great to see another Chicagoan here. So, appreciate you dropping in and showing some love. Thank you, Robert. Okay. So, let me continue on with the motivation for me lately. My motivation is not where it used to be, but I'm using a lot of the good habits that I've built over time to help me keep going. Eventually, I can't keep doing 90-hour fasts because I will hit my goal weight. And my intention is to not lose more weight when I hit goal weight. So that 90-hour fast is going to have to come down sooner or later. I'm having a difficult time the last week or two to keep doing the 90s. I mean, I feel good and I know I can keep doing it. And I know I have the strength to keep doing another 90, just like I'm doing right now. I just think that I might be either hitting the tail end of doing 90s and might switch to a 65 and maybe go back to 90s if that time comes, but I'm not sure where I'm at. Really, what I am trying to say though is it doesn't always have to be big steps. It doesn't have to be these big, grandiose ways of losing weight right away. Like when people talk about doing a 21-day fast or a 28-day fast. Sometimes doing the smaller fasts is the slower way to success, but it's still a way to success. And it's a better way to keep the good habits going, to keep the healthier habits going, because I don't think there's going to be a lot of people doing 28-day fasts back to back or 21-day fasts or what have you. I I think one of the things that keeps me going though with the 90s is the fact that I look at the scale and the scale keeps on dropping without fault. For the last 3 months, every fast I have done, the scale has gone down every single time. So that is a big, big motivation for me. I think the harder part of where I'm at right now is the scale isn't moving as quickly as it used to. And so sometimes that can be a little demotivating. And that's kind of where the NSVs come in. And when I say NSV, I'm talking about the non scale victories. That's me looking at where I'm at health wise and knowing that I have so much more energy than I used to, that I can actually sleep longer without interruption than I used to. I'm not waking up every 2 hours to go to the bathroom. Those kind of non-scale victories. But even the other non-scale victories, from going from a super tight extra large to wearing a small adult sweater or a small adult t-shirt, that's a big non-scale victory for me. Another way that I keep myself motivated is keeping even smaller clothes in my closet. Like I have extra smalls sitting there right now that do not fit. I have size 28 pants right now that do not fit. But those are my motivators to keep me going, to remind me that, hey, you still have work to do. And even when I hit that goal weight, the work is never done. That journey is still continuing by keeping maintenance up, by trying to figure out, okay, do I have to now start adjusting my diet to properly get me to where I need to be? It's those things that you need to look at, the way your health is and how important your health is, to know that you can't ever stop this. Like, your health is so important. You need to keep doing what you need to do to stay afloat, to make sure you don't slip up and just let the detriments, let the, I guess, the health issues come. You don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen. I don't want to be on the other end of this anymore. I don't want to wake up the next day and realize I've thrown it all away because I wasn't taking care of myself, that I wasn't as energetic, or I guess as outgoing as I have been the last, I guess in a way, the last 3 months. Every day I wake up, I feel I feel great. I feel very confident in who I am, and I attribute that to living a healthier lifestyle. I just want you all to kind of keep that into consideration as you're working on your journey. Take a look at those things and remember how important those things are to you, how good you feel on the days you are being healthy, on the days that you are getting out there and exercising and taking care of yourself. Think about those days, especially when times are tough. Think about how good you feel when you're taking care of yourself. It doesn't mean that you can't have days where you don't eat the healthiest, because obviously I do. I have those refeed days, and those are not the healthiest days at all. It is about balance. And in a lot of ways, I have a funny way of showing balance. But right now, this is the balance that I do that works for me. And I guess in turn, that's where I always say you have to do what works for you. I fast for this long because I eat really huge amounts of food. I eat 4, 5, 6,000 calories per refeed. It's funny because when I started looking, because recently I've started looking at some of my old videos again, maybe because I'm like getting back to that old weight I was at. And I look at myself, I'm like, oh, I remember this, Jerome. But I would watch those videos, and I watched a older refeed video, and I think I weighed 135 then. So I was at goal weight, and I was eating 7,000 calories at 135 pounds in 3.5 hours. I don't think I can even do that right now. But it doesn't mean that I won't in the future. I think that's just going to depend. I guess what I'm trying to say though is I eat that way because that's just what satiates me. And that's why I fast for as long as I do. It doesn't mean that you have to do any of those things. Ultimately, it is what works for you, diet wise, exercise wise, how you exercise, how you eat, how long you keep your eating window open for, and then the mind state that it puts you in. Because you can do all those physical things. And even if you think you're good at doing those physical things, how is it affecting you mentally? You have to take that into consideration. And that's why sometimes for a good amount of people, those fasts can't be as long as maybe you intended them to, because it starts to make your mental health suffer. And if that starts being the case, that's where you might need to slow down, or that's where you might need to say, okay, I'm just going to do a couple short fasts for now. I'm just going to do 16s for a while until I start feeling better. And maybe one day I'll go ahead and do a longer fast. But it doesn't mean you just give up on doing any of this. It just means that you might slow down a little bit, but it doesn't mean that you're not moving the needle forward. And that's where the consistency really, really makes a difference. That's where building those good habits really, really makes a big difference. I think these are the things I'm learning as I'm going along. And I might sound like a broken record saying it over and over again, but I think those are the things that we need to remind ourselves day in and day out. Because I think once we stop reminding ourselves of those things, that's when we slip up. That's when we say, oh, fuck it. Today is a whatever day. I'm just going to do whatever I want. And to be fair, I'm sure I'm going to have another one of those days. I don't know when that day is going to happen, but I'm sure it's going to come sooner or later. Before I continue on here, she's a Lee with a $20 donation, with a very generous donation. She's a Lee. Thank you. I don't remember seeing you here before. Jerome, you were such an inspiration. Thank you so much. She's a Lee. Thank you. I think your body's getting used to the 90-hour fast. Oh, it definitely is and has been. Maybe you should switch up for now, maybe like 2 60-hour fasts, then go back to the 90-hour fast. Actually, I'm glad you said that because that is actually part of my routine. So, first of all, thank you again for such a huge donation. Thank you for the support. Thank you for the generous support. I do appreciate that. She's a Lee. So, the way I look at this is I plan to implement something like this in the future, and these are going to be alternating fasts in different like numbers, different scales. So my initial plan was to do 90-hour fasts until I hit my goal weight. So 90-hour fast until I hit 140, which is my goal weight. And then what I plan to do is when I hit goal weight was to start rotating my 90s to 65s and not just going straight down to 65s, but maybe doing a 65 and then doing a 90 and seeing where it puts me on the scale to kind of like play that out, then go back to a 65. And if that starts being successful and I start losing more weight than I should, then I'm going to scale that from a 65 to a 42 and then rotate those and kind of like play it by ear. But I do love that idea, especially where I'm at right now. I don't know how long I'm going to keep doing these 90s for. I mean, there might be a case that I will keep doing these 90s until I hit goal weight, but in the event that I don't, first of all of you will be first to know, but I like this idea of not just bringing it down to a 65 or a 60 or what have you, but kind of rotating that number. Maybe doing a 65 one day and then doing a 90 the next, then a 65 and then a 90, and kind of play with those numbers. I'm less than 20 pounds away from goal right now that I think I can benefit from kind of giving myself a break here and there. But she's Lee, again, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. It means so much to me, guys. Thank you so much. Okay. I'm looking at my notes, guys. I know I always look this way. Okay. So the last point I have before I get into the slides is I just want to share this. This is something that I used to say before and I haven't in some time, but when you are attempting a longer fast, or even if it's not a longer fast and you just need to like eke out the last 8 hours, let's say you're doing a 36-hour fast, you're doing an alternate day fast, and you're at like hour 30. The things to remember to keep you going to is yes, look at your goals. Remember that your health is so important. Look at all those things. Think about the scale going down. Think about your clothes fitting better. These are all the things that I've talked about. Better energy, better sleep, all the health benefits that come from that. But the one thing to always remember as well is that the food is always going to be there. It's always going to be there. It doesn't mean you have to break it right now, because that food that you want, you can get that later. If you're at a social event, if you're at a birthday party, maybe that's a little different. Maybe that's where you think twice about it. But at the end of the day, that food is still always going to be there. Maybe not that food from the birthday party or wherever you're going out, but in general, when it's time for you to really eat, when it's time for you to break your fast as you intended, that food will be there. You can go get that food. It's not going anywhere. I just want people to keep that in mind. If you're struggling and you're trying to get through whatever fast you're going through, you will always have the opportunity to eat later, unless you are literally on your deathbed and dying from starvation, which please do not do that. But you know where I'm getting at. The food will always be there for you. It doesn't have to be there right now, but eventually, when your time comes to eat, I mean, look at me, for example. Yeah, I'm hungry right now. Actually, the last couple of weeks, it's been a little rough for me. I've had more days hungry than I've had not hungry versus what it was like for me when I first started doing this. But I do remind myself that I don't need to eat right now. I'm good. I still have like extra poundage on me. I'll be fine. And I know that when it is time for me to eat, I can get all of the food I want and I'll be good. And surprisingly, most of the time, I get all of that food for the day I refeed and I can't even eat it all because I'm like, okay, I'm getting pretty full now. I think lately, especially, I've been listening to my body a lot more than I have in the past, where I'll eat and I'll think about it and I'm like, no, I'm good with this amount of food right now. I don't need more of this same stuff. Let me go switch to something different. And that's actually what I've been doing a lot lately. I'll, instead of trying to eat everything that I put together, a lot of times I'll eat maybe half of it and I'm like, yeah, I think I'm good for now. I don't think I need any of this anymore unless I feel like it later, but then I'll switch to my next part of my meal, which I think has been very helpful. And I think it's actually helped me kind of limit my calories from what I used to do in the past. And I think that's just through trial and error. And I think that's just through my knowledge of what I've been doing over the years. So just keep that in mind. At the end of the day, how many times have I said that? I either say at the end of the day or ultimately, but at the end of the at the end of the day, ultimately, the food will always be there. Think of the health benefits, think of the scale going down. But also, final thing, sometimes you just got to suck it up. Sometimes you do. Sometimes sacrifices need to be made. Sometimes you have to sacrifice those moments of pleasure, the moments of seeing your friends eat when you can't. You are not alone. You aren't, because this guy right here is doing it right now. I think when I was getting the stream ready today, I think somebody in chat was saying, who else is fasting today? In my head, I'm like, I am. I'm 45 plus hours into it right now. So just remember, you're not alone when it comes to fasting. There's somebody out there probably doing the same thing that you are. You might think you're the only person doing it, or at least in your circle of friends or whoever you're around, even at work when everyone's going out for lunch. But it's the same for me. I work on Saturdays at a photo studio and we have a lunch every time I work like a 9 to 5 ish kind of shift. And there's always a lunch in between, and everyone eats lunch. And then I have a Diet Coke. And people are like, Jerome, are you not eating? I'm like, no, I'm good. I'm good. I get it. I've been there. I've been doing it for the last 3 months. I know what it's like. So if you ever feel like you are going to break or you feel unmotivated, just remember there's somebody doing it too. You got somebody on your side. It's me. So just keeping that in mind. Okay. I want to go ahead and I want to share slides. I've had to kind of rearrange the way this looks because I'm getting into so many fasts right now. that eventually I'm going to have to figure out a better way to display all of this. For anyone who's new here, I am very much a statistics nerd. I really, really love looking at the numbers. So you might have to bear with me, but I do believe it's very beneficial. So just to share, like I said before, I am on day 84. This is 3 months exactly. This is 12 weeks exactly. I am currently working on my 21st consecutive fast. You'll see that the very first two fasts were under 90 hours. Those were my warm up fasts after not fasting for almost 2.5 years. That's why the very first fast was a 42-hour plan, and then the second fast was a 65-hour plan. But you'll see from fasts number 3 to 21, everything has been around or over the 90-hour mark. If you look at fast number 5, that was when I did a 7-day fast, or just a little shy of a 7-day fast. Number 5 was 163 hours. And then if you look at number 15, that was a 6-day fast, a little under 6 days, but 141 hours. And Paul Modia, sorry, Paul, they said it wrong. Paul Maida, hopefully that's right. Paul, Jerome, hi, Paul. Me, my bro, and cousin are doing a 24-hour fast and watching this live. Hi, all of you guys. I feel so flattered that you're all sitting here watching me. We're all from Chicago too. Is everyone from Chicago today? That's great. What's your favorite Chicago restaurant to indulge at? Glad you're back on YouTube and getting healthy. Thanks, Paul. Thank you so much for the donation. Thank you for the support. Thank you. And for your brother and your cousin, welcome, all of you. What's my favorite Chicago restaurant to indulge at? Oh God, there's so many. I will say my favorite burger place is Au Cheval, whether that's bougie or not. That is my favorite place for a burger. I don't know if that's always the place I like to indulge at, but I really do enjoy the food there. I oh man, there's just too many to really name. I really love Filipino food. I love going to Uncle Mike's for just longanisa, eggs and rice. Um, I'm like trying to think of, because like it really depends on what I'm feeling like. But those are some of my favorites. I mean, I really just like I hate to say this, but I really love pizza at D'Agostino's, which I know is not like where people go to get pizza, but I really love it there. I really like their thin crust because it's like a sweet crust. I can't believe I just admitted that, because people who are probably from Chicago is like, that's what you like for pizza, but I do. I do like Pequod's though for deep dish. I really think Pequod's is more of a pan, but okay, I can't get into too much of this because I know people don't really care about all of that. But Paul, thank you for the donation. Hopefully I gave you a couple listed there. If you ever want more recommendations though, I'm sure you probably know a bunch of Chicago places, but Gene and Jude's for hot dogs, that's my favorite. I love that place. I know that's not Chicago, that's more like River Grove, right? And Johnny's for Italian beef, FYI. So, okay, let's get back into the slides. Paul, thank you again for the donation. I appreciate that. Thank you for the support. So, back to where I'm at, 21 consecutive fasts. The last 19 of them have been around or over the 90-hour mark. One of them was an almost 1 week fast. Another one was almost a 6-day fast. And currently I am working on another 90-hour fast. You'll see fast number 20 was 88 hours and 47 minutes. That was because I went to actually have dinner with my mom on Friday. And here's the thing too. So I know I say 90-hour fasts minimum. And in the beginning, when I did if you look at fast number 9, when I did an 88-hour fast, I was, wow, actually those were both 88 and 47. I felt really guilty about not hitting the 90-hour mark. And my head was going through so many things like, Jerome, you're a failure. You messed up again. And those are those old bad habits that I had of feeling like I wasn't doing enough, feeling like I wasn't strong enough to hit whatever. But over time I've realized too, like, hey, it's not always hitting the 90. It's not always hitting this arbitrary number I gave myself. It's looking to see how overall I've been doing, which is why I started putting an average hour here. And if you look at my average, it's almost 95 hours at this point. The last 20 fasts have averaged not almost 95 hours. Even when you include the 46-hour fast at number 1 and the 67-hour fast at number 2, I've still been averaging over 90 hours. And I've learned to tell myself that life happens. If you look at all of the fasts that have hit 88 hours or under 90 hours, that's because I had a social thing going on. And I've accepted the fact that it's okay to not always hit your numbers. Even my eating window, my limit is 4 hours, but lately I've been going 5 hours, maybe even a little longer. And that's because I want to live my life and not limit it so much that I derail. I talk about sacrifice and watching people eat lunch or not being able to eat or drink when I'm at a party or at a place. I make those sacrifices. And I always tell myself now that, hey, I might not always hit those numbers, but if life gets in the way, life gets in the way, and that's okay. So, this is where I'm at fasting wise. This is how I perform my fasts. This number might change in the future, but right now I'm at a pace to keep the 90-hour mark. If you look at my eating windows, you'll see it's drastically different. They're not 90-hour eating windows, of course not, but they're very structured, smaller eating windows. The very first eating window you'll see is 57 minutes. The reason it was that short was because I did a 42-hour fast, or it was a 47-hour fast. But then the ones after, you'll notice they're somewhere between the 3 to 4 hour mark. If you look at my latest fasts, except number 20, where it was 3 hours and 4 minutes, you'll see a couple 5 hour fasts in there, a couple fasts that are over the 4 hour mark. All of these right now are averaging me 3.5 hours. If you look again at my average fasts, 94 hours and 50 minutes, and then a 3 hour and 30 minute eating window. This is how I do it. This is what works for me. I do long fasts because I eat very big refeeds. And then I do short eating windows because I have an issue when it comes to eating large amounts of food. If you gave me an 8 hour eating window, I could easily pack 10,000 calories, if not more. When I binge eat, that's a completely different story. That would be like 20, 30,000 calories. I don't even want to know. You don't even want to know how bad that used to be, because that's not a place I want to be in. When I do my refeeds, when I have my eating windows, I eat in a very structured way. And it's not always perfect. And especially when I'm going out and it's a social event, I'll eat whatever. I just want to be happy and be with friends or family and enjoy my time. And I think that's really important. I think that gives me a better mental relief than having to eat a certain way, or restricting how many calories I eat, or restricting the kinds of foods I eat. It does not mean that you have to do that. If you're really good with your diet, if you can control your calories, if you can control the kinds of foods you eat, then you don't have to do what I'm doing. It doesn't have to be that structured. But I do it this way because I know that if I open my time limit for eating, it's just going to be it's just going to have a very negative effect. Let's just put it that way. I struggle with controlling how much I eat and what I eat. And if I put restrictions on myself on what I can eat, that is a trigger for me to completely just ruin everything. So this is what I have implemented for myself to get to where I'm at today. This is why in 3 months I've lost almost 60 pounds, because this is something that I have done through trial and error to find what works for me. Which is why, again, it's very important that you don't follow exactly what I do, but you find the fast that works for you, the diet that works for you, the exercise routine that works for you. You take all of those three things, but then you also have to add the component of knowing where you are mentally. Does it make sense? Do you feel good? Is this something you can do every day? Is this something that you can be consistent about? Because you can do all those three things great: diet, exercise, fasting, but you can only do that through willpower and through motivation for so long. You have to remember mentally, does it make sense? Does it feel okay? Can you live your life regularly? If the answer to those are no, you have to rethink or reconsider what you're doing, or take a break, or slow it down a little bit. It doesn't mean that you can't change it along the way, but you have to keep those things into consideration, because the moment you keep things too strict, and this is from personal experience, this is from somebody who keeps things so strict. Even right now, it's still very strict. But for me to do an 88-hour fast instead of doing a 90, and for me to do a 4 hour and 50-minute eating window instead of a 4 hour max, and to be okay with that, to me, that's a huge accomplishment for me. To me, that feels like I'm making progress from where I used to be, from feeling like I used to be a failure if I was 10 minutes under my eating window or my fast, or 10 minutes over my eating window. That is progress for me. I say all of this because I want people who might have trouble, and people have said it to me in the comments, to give yourself grace, to give yourself some leniency when it comes to this. Life isn't perfect, and it's that imperfection in life that today I find so much more beautiful than I used to in the past. It doesn't mean that I don't struggle with that. It doesn't mean that it's very hard for me to not see things in black and white. And for me today to see some shades of gray, I think of, what's that show, movie? Now it sounds weird, but to know that I'm starting to find some balance in my life, I think um, is helpful. And that's where a lot of my therapy has helped me. Therapy has really put me in a much better place today than where I was a couple of years ago. So I'm very thankful for that. And that's why um I'm such a big supporter of therapy. And I used to go to therapy when I was younger. When I was in my 20s, I used to go to therapy, and it was hard for me. I think I had such a big ego where I was like, they don't know what they're talking about. Like, I don't need any. But obviously I did, because I've had an eating disorder for a long time. Okay, moving on. Exercise. I, I exercise a lot. It's a very important part of my day. It's a very important activity that I do, but it's also an activity that I really, really, really enjoy. I'm looking at the comments. Yes, 50 Shades of Gray. That's not what I was trying to get into, but yes, you guys are right. Um, so, as far as exercise, since day one, since I started fasting again, I told myself, you know what you're doing. You've done this before. Just add some walking into your routine. And that's what I did. And I've been doing it since day one. And we're at day 84 right now. And incorporating 6 days a week of walking at least an hour is something that I have not stopped doing. even on days in Chicago here when it was like -10 with wind chills that were like -30, I didn't walk outside, but I got on the treadmill and I walked for an hour, and I hate the treadmill. I hate it. It's like the worst thing ever. I don't wish a treadmill upon anyone. I have so much joy walking outside. I live by the lake, so I like to walk the lakefront. I just like walking around Chicago. It's just nice to people watch, and I don't know. I enjoy that a lot. But even on the cold days, even on the rainy days when I couldn't go outside, I would walk on the treadmill, and I did it. And I told myself that I had to, but it's also the fact that, and for those that don't remember, when I was gone for almost those 2.5 years, when I gained all the weight back, I stuck myself in my apartment and I didn't do anything. I didn't even leave to get groceries. I would just Instacart everything. I would just DoorDash everything. I was so ashamed to leave my apartment. I was so ashamed and so embarrassed about the weight I gained. I didn't want people to look at me. That's how bad I felt about myself. I had such low self-esteem. I had such low self-worth. I did not accept myself for who I was. And I think about those things now, and I can't imagine even being in my apartment for an entire day. Those days when we had a blizzard here in Chicago, I was stuck in this building, but there's a gym upstairs, and I made sure to go up there and walk on the treadmill for at least an hour or lift weights on top of that. And I think feeling that way, feeling like I have to get out of the apartment and get some sun or at least do something is part of building those better habits. And I'm thankful for that because without that, I don't think I'd have that motivation to go and do it. So, all that being said, this exercise part here, I mean, if you look at the last 3 weeks, I have literally walked an hour every day. And guys, when I say that I'm walking an hour every day for 3 hours, when I'm walking every when I'm walking an hour every day for 3 weeks, this does not mean that I'm grueling when I'm walking. I'm not power walking, I'm just leisurely walking. I enjoy the walk. It isn't like I'm huffing and puffing. This is just a typical walk. It's to get out there, to get some fresh air, and in a lot of ways, exercising this way, going for a walk, going to the gym, I think it helps make sure that I keep fasting. Because imagine if you were just at home all day fasting and doing nothing else. I think the chances of you breaking that fast because you're not doing anything else, I think the chances are a lot higher versus going for a walk and saying, I did something today. This felt good today. I'm going to keep going with my fast. Does that make sense? It gives you a little more push. It gives you a little more accomplishment that you're doing something worthwhile, that you are working on your health journey, that you are being a better person. Better person is not the right way of saying it, but being a healthier you, being a better you, I guess is the better way of putting it. As far as strength as far as strength training, I have been I don't want to say I don't want to say I'm obsessed with the gym, but when I do go to the gym to lift weights, I'm not in there for an hour. I'm not even in there for 45 minutes. Sometimes I think 30 minutes tops is what I'm in there for. I'm not doing 15 sets. I'll usually work two or three machines, do 3 sets, and then I'm out of there. And it's just to lift things and put them down and lift them and put them down and just kind of get a little resistance training, get a little strength training. And then I'm out of there. And then I finish my walk or what, because typically I walk to the gym. It's a half-hour walk to the gym. I'm in there for maybe half an hour tops. And then I go for another walk. I either walk home or I add an extra half hour and it ends up being an hour and a half walk. Or today I walked 2 hours, I think. Yeah. So I do all these things because it's just nice to get out and it's nice to do something. Guys, I'm an old man. I don't hang out with people all day anymore. I'm not out till 2 in the morning. I don't go to clubs. I don't do any of that. I'm 43 years old. I enjoy the time I go out. I enjoy going to Target am buying like whatever there. I like going for a walk by the lake. I like to people watch, and then I go home like an old man. Yeah, I live in Chicago and I love the city and I love being in the city. I could not live in the suburbs. I am so sorry. It's just not me. But I'm like an old man who still enjoys doing city life stuff. That's who I am. That's what I enjoy. But the fact that I don't go out till 2 or 3 in the morning means that I get to sleep better. Now my sleep isn't perfect, which is actually a really good segue into this. So my sleep, this is the one I think out of all the things that I'm doing, diet, fasting, exercise, sleep is the hardest thing for me. Sleep is much better than it used to be, but it's still not great. 7 hours a night is really what I'm aiming for. This week, thankfully, I got over 6 hours a night. Still could be better. Still something I'm working on. I'll keep you posted on sleep. I always hate showing the slide, but I like to show it because I think it's important to show that transparency. I really got to work on it. I really got to be better about it. So that is where I'm at when it comes to sleep. As far as weight goes, wow, I need to make 2 columns for this because this is starting to look really small. As far as weight goes, so day 1, I weighed 217.8 pounds, 98.8 kilo. And if you look at day 82, the very bottom there, I hit 159.6 pounds. Today's day 84. So this was 2 days ago, but I've gone from 217.8 to 159.6 in 82 days. I did this in less than 3 months. I lost 58.2 pounds in less than 3 months. This was through fasting, but not just fasting. This was through fasting. This was through small, shorter refeeds. This was through exercise. This was through cardio. This was through weightlifting. But also, this was through making sure that my mind was in the right place. My motivation was in the right place, that I was focused, that I was able to do all these things and still feel good, still feel normal. I have to keep stressing that point out. When it comes to these fasts and what you're doing, a lot of it also depends on, is it sustainable for a long period of time? Can you keep doing this in a sustainable way? If you can't, it might be time to re-strategize. It might not mean doing 90-hour fasts back to back to back, but it could mean a 90-hour fast followed by a 23-hour OMAD, followed by another 23-hour OMAD, and then maybe another 90, then a 23, then a 23, then a 90. It could be something as simple as that. It could be a 90 followed by a 65, followed by a 42, then followed by a 90 again. Learn to build the good habits to get you into that better fasting routine. I've talked about this before. I think other people have talked about this before, but you have to build that fasting muscle, even if it just means doing a fast that's 20 minutes longer than it was last time. That's still building fasting muscle. And even if you can't hit that, and even if it's less than the last time, don't let that discourage you. Look at that as an opportunity to look at it as consistency. It might not be as long as the last fast, but that's okay because you'll have more opportunities to do it again. Don't just throw it all away. Don't just say, fuck it, I'm just going to eat whatever I want for the rest of the day, because then you're just setting yourself up for failure, because that day will turn into a week, will turn into a month, will turn into, hey, Jerome, it's nice to see you again. I haven't been here in 3 months. I poke fun, but that's me too. I was gone for almost 2.5 years dealing with my own shit. Just motivation for all of you. Again, as far as weight goes, I went from 217.8 to 159.6 in less than 3 months. 58.2 pounds in less than 3 months. And extra large, a tight extra large adult to now wearing a small adult. Wearing a size 38 pants tight to wearing a size 30 pants today loose. Through my routine. So this is a new slide because, again, I'm very much the statistics nerd and I just need to show other stuff here. But now that I'm getting so close to goal weight, I'm going to start sharing this. So also, for those that don't know, I'm a very short person. I'm 5'3", 1.6 meters. So day one, 217.8 pounds. Day 82, which was 2 days ago, 159.6 pounds, with the total loss of 58.2 pounds. My goal weight is 140 pounds. I've lost 58.2 of those pounds out of 77.8. That is exactly 75% complete. I think it was 74.8. So rounded up, I am 3/4 of the way to my goal weight. I have less than 20 pounds to lose at this point. I I have less than 20 pounds to lose in, I don't know how long that's going to take, but if you told me, if you said, Jerome, how long do you think you're going to take to lose 77.8 pounds? First of all, I couldn't tell you that I would have lost this much weight in 3 months. To me, I still look at that number and I'm amazed how quickly that went. To lose the rest of this weight, I think it's going to take a lot more time than it did to lose this first 60-ish pounds, because even the last couple pounds has taken some time, and we're going to get into those numbers. But I still think this is a great accomplishment. I feel like some of this weight might be slowing down because I am leaning out, but also because I am very active at the gym when it comes to lifting weights. I do feel like my body composition is different today than it was when I was this weight 4 years ago, or almost 4 years ago. I do feel like I have more muscle on me. I feel a lot firmer just in my body. Now, that's, what's that science called? Where you're not, I'm just guesstimating, right? Like, who knows for real without actually looking at calculations back then versus today of muscle and fat. But I look at old video of me. Just look at the very first video of me on finally fasting, because that's where I was at, 159.6 versus where I'm at today, 159.6. I feel like I look a lot different then than I do where I'm at right now. But again, I have less than 20 pounds to lose. How long that's going to take, I don't really know. You're all here for the ride, so we'll see where I'm at when I get there. As far as my fasts, I've also shared this so you can see what it looks like when it comes to how much weight I've lost per fast. I have completed 20. I'm working on my 21st. But out of these 20 fasts, if you look at the first 5 fasts, 4.6 pounds lost, 5.8 pounds lost, 4.2 pounds lost, 3.6 pounds lost, 9 pounds lost. That was my week fast. But if you compare it now to the last 5, 1.4 pounds lost, 1.8 pounds lost, 0.8 pounds lost, 1 pound lost. This very last fast, 0.8 pounds lost. It has gone much slower than when I initially started, which makes sense. That's just what happens as you start to lose more weight. If I weighed 500 pounds, it wouldn't look like this. I'd probably still be losing a good amount of weight. But at someone who weighed 220 to where I'm trying to get at of a goal of 140, it's not just going to drop as quickly as it did in the past. Yes, I wish the scale could move faster, but I also know that I have to be realistic. I know a lot of us get very stuck into the way the scale looks and seeing it drop every single time. And I just want to remind you that it's not always going to be that way. Remember to have those non-scale victories. Remember to have clothes that don't fit the best, hanging up on your closet and trying it every week and seeing how it looks. Take a picture if you need to remember how tight it used to be or how tight it looked versus what it looks like a week, 2 weeks, 1 month from now. Because if you keep those things in mind, the scale, what the scale says, isn't going to make that much of a difference if your clothes are fitting better. What does it matter what the scale says if the clothes fit better now? It also reminds you that if you are working out, if you are lifting weights, that you are maybe putting muscle. Muscle weighs heavier than fat. Muscle changes your body composition for the better. Those are things that I want. That's why I've been lifting since I started my fasting journey again. If I didn't lift any weights at all from now or from day 1 to day 84, where I'm at today, I don't know what this body composition would look like. I don't think it would be the way I would want it to look versus how I'm looking now. I know I still have weight to lose. I know I'm not, right? I'm not at my goal weight. I know I have more fat to shed off of me, but knowing that I've already been consistently lifting weights, and knowing that as I continue to lose more and maybe refeed more, that I can lift heavier and build more muscle. And there's nothing wrong with that. So just kind of keep those things in mind as you are working on your journey. It's not always about what shows up on the scale. This is also a new this is also a new slide. I cannot help but keep creating stats. So the last slide was my record of fasts and how much weight I've lost, but I've made a new slide that talks about my refeeds because I think this is important too for people to look at. These are my refeeds and how much weight I've gained per refeed. I think a big question that people will ask in the comments is, well, aren't you worried about how much weight you put on during a refeed? My answer to that is no. Because if you look again at my fasts, right, I have lost weight every single fast I've done. All of these 20 fasts that I have completed, I have lost weight every single time. Weight has dropped every single time. I have not weighed more at the end of a fast than the previous one. The same holds true for refeeds. I show the weight here. Look at every time I've gained. So the funny thing is, if you look at refeed number 1, I actually still lost weight. I mean, I think that's just how much weight I was up at back then. But every single refeed after that, I have gained weight. But if you look at the weight has gone down every single time except for number 13, where I went from 179.2 to 179.6, but I still lost the weight during my fast. Now, I will say, if you look at my very last refeed, this is actually the first time, this is the highest I've actually put on in weight during my refeed, 6.4 pounds. Even though my refeed was pretty much similar, I had dinner with my mom and I ate what I typically eat when I come home after I go out for a social thing. So this might be the first time that I might not hit a lower weight after I complete my 90-hour fast, but that has yet to be seen. So I don't, so yeah, because if you remember, I was 159.6 2 days ago. And then after my refeed, I weighed 166 yesterday. I think this morning I weighed 164. So I'm still on the trajectory of getting under 159.6, but we'll see when I get there. And I also have to remember to if I'm not 159 point, if I'm not less than 159.6 after I complete this 90-hour fast, it's not the end of the world. I have to take things into consideration. I have to take going to the gym. Maybe I do have to think about, okay, maybe my refeed was too much, but I'm not worried about it just yet. I'm still doing all the things I need to be doing. I can't let this discourage me. I can't tell myself, oh, let's just throw everything away because life shouldn't work that way. My goal is still my goal. I'm still going to keep doing what I'm doing. If I have a bump in the road, I'm going to share that bump in the road instead of hiding from it because that's what I used to do. And in a lot of ways, I know that I have done that habit for so long that I could still see myself hiding from it. But I don't want to do that. I want to show up. I want to be here. I want to be transparent. I want to be accountable. I want to show all of you who are here that it's okay to be imperfect, that it's okay to have a bump in the road. But if you show up, if you're accountable, it goes a long way. I think build it helps it helps build the better habits. It helps build the better mindset to know that it's okay for this to happen, that it's okay to not be perfect, that it's okay to gain weight sometimes, that it's okay that we're going to have fucked up days, that it's not always going to be the way we envisioned it, but we get back up and then we try it again. We fall, but we get back up. So yeah, I have a little concern for this last refeed. I don't know if I'm going to hit less than 159.6 on my next fast, but you will all know by Tuesday because that's when I'm going to be refeeding, and you'll see if I hit a new low. This would be a first if I didn't. So we'll see. Okay. I just want to see how many more slides I have here. Okay. This is actually a longer stream today. So I've shown this before, but now that I hit the 150s, I want to share again. Again, this is more nerdy info, but this is info about where my weight has been when I've gone from the 210s to the 200s. That took 4 days. From the 200s to the 190s took 7 days. I know you guys see 211.6 here, so that's not technically 200s, but this is because it was the day after a refeed. So from the 210s to the 200s in 4 days, the 200s to the 190s in 1 week, and then the 190s to the 180s took 10 days. The 180s to the 170s took 15 days. The 170s to the 160s took 19 days. And then the 160s to the 150s took 21 days. Took 3 weeks to get to the 150s. You'll see day 83 shows 166 pounds, but that's because that's my weight the day after my refeed. The question is, how long is it going to take to get from the 150s now to the 140s? My guess is it's probably going to take 4 weeks minimum. I think it'll probably take 4 weeks for me to hit the 140s. And then who knows how long it's going to take to go from 149-ish, right? Whenever I hit that to 140, probably even longer than that. So with that being said, I think for me, where I'm at to hit goal weight, to hit 140 even, what are we at? January what? 28th? Probably to hit 140, I'm thinking it's probably going to be around April. When I first started this, I thought I wasn't going to hit 140 until maybe June or July, but it's gone so fast that maybe April, if I continue to do 90s. If I start doing 65-hour fasts, then this is going to be a lot longer, which is okay because I know it's not a race. I can't help myself. That's my black and white personality. That's my all or nothing personality. I am working on it. But if I continue to do 90s, I think I can probably hit 140 by around April. If I don't do 90s or I don't do consecutive 90s, that might get pushed out to longer, which is also okay because I need to be okay with where I'm at. Okay, so as far as the weight goes or the slides go, I do have some Q&A. So I'm going to go over this. Actually, before I go to the Q&A, I'll say this too. This is your time to do Q&A. If you're still here, I know people ask questions at the beginning and I keep forgetting to say this. Hold your questions till the end. I don't know how many I'm going to get through today, but if you have questions, leave them for now. Like ask your questions now. ask them now. I will scroll up and try to get to those. I'm not going to scroll all the way up. I'm going to scroll to where we're at around here, and I'll try to answer what I can after I go through the Q&A that I had picked from some of the comments. Rings and Romance 3830. Hello. You look great. Thank you so much. When is the next episode of Refeed? I was supposed to do an episode of Refeed, I think, last week, but sometimes, guys, doing these episodes of Refeed, it takes a lot out of me because I've fasted for almost 4 days and I just want to like relax and eat. I don't know when the next episode is going to be because I am going out this Tuesday to eat. And I think I'm also going out on my next refeed, which is going to be on Saturday. So it might not be until next week, maybe in the next 12 days. So maybe in 12 days, you'll see, maybe another 2 weeks, you'll see an episode of Refeed. I'm so sorry because I know you guys enjoy that. I've actually seen more comments on that. I feel like YouTube is either feeding the algorithm to other people to watch Refeed, and they're saying they want to watch more of it. So I need to put another one out maybe in 2 weeks. I know you guys enjoy it. And I mean, in a way, I enjoy making them too. So hopefully in 2 weeks when I'm eating at home, we'll see. Don't quote me on that, but that's when my hope is for another episode of Refeed. My new I'm not going to say this name because it's just a bunch of letters. Which app measures your fast? I use the Zero app. That's what I use when I'm fasting. I'm just going to share this here. I'm just going to talk about the Zero app really quick. So I see this question get asked a lot. People are always asking me what app I'm using. I think someone in the comments said, I don't like using the Zero app because they ask you to pay it. I don't pay for shit. I don't pay for anything on the Zero app. For one, I hate that the Zero app is always asking you to buy something, that the Zero app has all these things on it to just spend money. And I get it. I understand, but I wish there was like a Electrolyte app or something where it didn't have all this extra shit on it. I just want to know how long I'm fasting for, how long my eating windows are. I honestly, part of me wants to work with a developer and just make my own fasting app, and it would just be the bare bones, or maybe a part that has a way to like share your fasts with other people so people can follow you. Like, I think that would be a good idea. I should work on something like that. I don't have money for something like that. But for those who are asking, I do use the Zero app. It works. I don't pay for it. I don't use any of the paid features. And I'm not trying to knock people who do use it. Maybe there is beneficial info on there, but I don't even watch other fitness, diet, fasting videos. That's how much I don't really care about all the other extra stuff. So that's just me. But for those who ask, that's just my 2 cents when it comes to what I use. Vicky Yates, hi Vicky, asks Jerome, do you drink any liquids during your fasting hours? Yes. And I know these questions might be repetitive for some people, but I know, like I said, there's been an influx of new subscribers, which is great. Welcome to everybody who's watching this, who's new. Yes, I drink water, iced coffee, black. I don't even put Splenda in it. I drink cold brew, black. I like nitro cold brew, black. I do drink diet pop, like a diet Coke or a diet Pepsi. I have a I forgot I had diet Pepsi. Diet Pepsi. I'll drink diet pop. I drink unsweetened black tea. That's pretty much the things I drink. I don't really drink anything else. I do have Mio. I'll have that once in a while with my electrolytes, but that's really about it. It doesn't affect my weight loss. So all those numbers I showed you, the 58 pounds I've lost, that's me drinking all of those things while I'm fasting. I also understand if people don't like diet pop, diet soda, whatever you want to call it, because of the artificial stuff that's in it. And I totally get that. I really wish I would not drink diet pop, but for me, it's it's a really good way to help extend my fast. So I have it every once in a while. Um, Rip X Rip. Hey, after you hit your goal weight, what's your strategy for maintaining weight? So I've been asked this a lot too. A lot of people ask this question. When I hit my goal of 140, my plan is to do alternate day fasts. And that number for me is 42-hour fasts. Don't ask me why it's 42, just the same way that I found 90 and 65. Those have always just been my numbers. I think it's more of those numbers work for me because when that is in conjunction with the 4-hour eating window, it kind of falls around the same time. 42, I think, is the same way. So my plan is to do 42-hour fasts because I eat very big amounts of food. Now, 42 doesn't mean it's going to be like that forever. If I notice that I'm still gaining weight after doing 42-hour fasts, then I might move it to a 65-hour or do a rotating, do a 42, then a 65, 42, 65, and then kind of just play it by ear. I think a lot of my maintenance will be playing it by ear. So it might just be 42 at first. And who knows, if I actually find a way to better control how I'm eating, maybe one day it can get down to OMAD. Now, I don't really think that's going to happen because I just don't think I will ever be able to just eat 2000 calories or 2000 ish. But my plan is to do 42-hour fasts, alternate day fasts indefinitely once I hit my goal weight. This is why when I talk about fasting and how important it is for me, it truly is because the way I eat, the way I exercise, incorporating fasting in this manner will keep me at a maintenance weight. Fasting will always, always, always be part of my life. I think someone recently left a comment and said fasting is stupid, which is whatever. People are going to hate and people are going to talk shit, but everybody fasts. Stupid. Just kidding. But it's true. No, but yes, everybody fasts. If you're sleeping for 8 hours, you have now fasted for 8 hours, which is why they call it breakfast, because you usually break your fast after you wake up from sleeping. Fasting is something that everybody incorporates in their life. I don't think people are eating continuously all day, every day. But for someone like me, yes, a longer fast is something I will always incorporate, which is why fasting is the basic foundation for my health and happiness journey. Because without fasting, I don't think I could do all the other things properly. Fasting is my cornerstone of building the right foundation of all the other pieces to get to where I'm at. So that is my strategy for maintaining my weight. This is very small. Jupiter James asks, do you have recommendations for grad students or jobs that require strong focus and cognitive tasks? The brain fog is a big problem for me. I'll power through it, but I hope we can learn from your wisdom. Jupiter James, thank you for the question. So, yeah, I might have some wisdom when it comes to fasting, but let me just put it this way. If you're fasting and you are having issues with work and focus, yes, part of this is going to be a little power through it. Part of this is going to be like, if you have never done this before, then you might go through a little withdrawal, a little weakness, a little nausea, a little headache at the beginning. But if you are an experienced faster and you are finding these things happening and it's affecting your job, no, shorten your fast. Like, don't do it. If you have been fasting for quite some time and you are suffering through these things, don't do it. I have none of these symptoms. Zero. Zero. None of it. None of it. I don't have brain fog. I don't feel tired. I don't feel weak. And that can be easily shown through the last 3 weeks. I have gone for an hour walk minimum. And that's just minimum. There are some days I walk 2 hours, some days I walk 2.5 hours. And then 6 of those 7 days, I'm going to the gym and lifting weights. I have none of those symptoms, no headaches, no nausea. And I'm not saying this to knock you. I'm just saying you have to find what works for you. Sometimes it's a matter of building up that fasting routine. Sometimes it's a matter of building up the fasting hours to feel normal. I don't know if it's just me. Maybe it's just something different about me, but all of these things that I do, fasting for this long does not affect me. It is not, yeah, I have been getting hungry, but that's my only symptom out of everything. That's my only symptom. I don't feel weak. I don't feel tired. I don't feel like I can't do this. I don't feel like I can't work. I'm literally 40 something hours into my fast right now, and I'm doing the stream that's an hour and a half. I walked for 2 hours today. I lifted weights today. I've been doing a lot today. And I'm fine. I don't say it to brag, maybe a little bit, but I say it more so that you have to find normalcy in your life when you're incorporating fasting. At the beginning, yes, there's going to be a little difficulty. There's going to be a little challenge when you are fasting for the first time. If you are extending your fast, doing it longer than you typically do, then yes, you will also have to face those challenges, face some of those side effects from fasting for a longer time than you're typically used to. But if it's something that you have been doing, build up to it. Add half an hour than the last time instead of just going all out. Build your fasting muscle. Figure out what works for you. The moment you feel bad, the moment you feel sick, the moment you feel like you can't do this, the moment you can't focus on your work, the moment you can't be with your friends and family, the moment you can't do the normal things in your life, stop. There's nothing wrong with ending your fast early, having your refeed, and then starting again. If you're having brain fog because you can't do your job, break. Have your refeed and then go back to your fasting routine. There's no shame in that. Build up to it, work up to it. That's all I have, really. Hopefully that helps in a way. Pam Hart asks, do not feel you have to answer. I'm new to this. No, I'm happy to help. Is there loose skin left behind losing this much and this fast? Yep. I've talked about loose skin before. I have loose skin. I have loose skin on my neck, like here. And I mean, you can even see it as I like push into it. I have loose skin on my upper arms. I have loose skin on my upper thigh. I think those are the biggest places I have loose skin. You do ask if loose skin gets left behind losing this much in this fast. I will tell you that at my age, at 43, I think even if I lost this weight slowly, let's say half a pound a week, I still think I would have loose skin. But that's just me. If you've seen older pictures of me and how big I just recently showed I just recently showed a picture of me when I had my shirt lifted up and my belly was out. Like that's where most of my weight goes. Oh, and that's where I have loose skin too, of course, on my belly. My skin has been stretched out like that forever. My belly's been like that for most of my life. I'm 43. I would say probably close to 4 decades I've had a belly. I don't think there's any way that skin is going to stretch back. Now, this is going to be different for everyone. If you're in your 20s and maybe you are just overweight and not like obese, it might be different. But for me, I think this is just how it is. And when I get to goal weight, then I'll kind of assess if there's anything I'm going to do, if at all. But I know people do talk about loose skin, and I think people are a little scared of losing the weight super fast. And I understand that concern because I don't think anybody wants loose skin. But for me, I guess I'm just used to losing weight at this rate and then dealing with what happens after. I've been here before. I weighed 124 4 years ago. So I know what it's like to lose all that weight and have that loose skin. And I'm okay with that. But that's me. So just FYI, loose skin is a thing. And I think it's just going to vary from person to person, especially the amount or the, I guess, effect of loose skin. That's not the right word, but yeah, it's going to be different for everyone. How do you, or hi, do you drink alcohol on a refeed? I do. I don't drink alcohol all the time. Uh, Typically, when I'm at home, I don't drink alcohol at all. I mean, I have beer in the fridge, but I'm not drinking it. I usually drink alcohol socially only when I'm out. I might be drinking this weekend on Saturday when I refeed. But yeah, I drink once in a while. I like to drink. I don't drink all the time. I don't drink it by myself, but with friends, yeah, I do. But not all the time, FYI. 90%, 95% of the time I don't drink. So, okay. Oh, wow. Okay, this is a long one. Oh, okay, I remember this. Okay. Uh sorry, I'm like getting closer because I'm old and I can't see. Slick, I'm not going to read the name. It's just long. How many days would you consider it unsafe to go on a massive refeed? I'm about 72 hours into a fasting period and plan on going to a Korean food buffet to celebrate my kid's birthday 24 hours from now and plan on going on another series of 4-day fasts just like yours until I reach my goal weight. I'm hearing that incorrectly refeeding after prolonged fasts aren't safe, but it seems like you're stuffing your face after your fasts with whatever and seem to be doing all right. I want to do the same and want to be sure it's okay. So I'll tell you right now, I'm not going to tell you it's okay. I'm not, because everyone's going to be different. I show what I do after a long fast, how I refeed. If you all are unsure of how I eat after a long fast, please watch my series called Refeed. You'll see exactly what I eat. If you watch the very first episodes, I think I ate a lot more processed foods back then versus what I do today. It's just interesting that this person talked about a buffet because when I did my 7-day fast a couple months ago, I did a 7-day fast and then I went to an all you can eat Brazilian steakhouse and I ate. I fasted for that long because I was trying to line up the time to celebrate my mom's birthday and I ate a lot, a lot. Even when I came home after the Brazilian steakhouse all you can eat, I ate some more. I ate the regular stuff I usually eat when I'm at home. Pie, tortilla chips, Italian sausage, vegetables. Actually, I don't know if I did that day, but I was fine. I think I had mentioned before, I was a little scared that I was going to have to run to the bathroom, but I was good. Now, this is me. And I do think I'm different in this way because a lot of people, I think, out of all the questions I get on my channel, that's probably one of the biggest ones is like diarrhea questions because of the way I eat. So, yes, it works for me. I don't know if it's going to be okay for you. Really, the best way to do it is just figure out by trial and error, which might mean you might not get to eat that way until you figure out if it's okay for you. And I say this with a lot of caution for anybody who's refeeding after a certain amount of time. And if you are refeeding longer than 7 days, I think there is room to be cautious. People talk about drinking bone broth an hour before. People talk about eating just a small piece of protein an hour before and waiting it out, or yogurt an hour before. I don't really know what that method is. You're going to have to ask outside of me to help you answer that question, because it is going to vary from person to person. I just show what I do because it works for me and I'm okay with it. I know that's probably not the answer you might be looking for, but hopefully that is helpful. I know someone else had commented, and I think I left it here for a reason. Azalea, actually, is Azalea in here? I thought I saw her say hello, but um, Azalea said, "I'm not Jerome, but I'm curious about how he would respond to your question." Well, I responded. Um, Hopefully, he will do that in his live. I did. For myself, your question would be answered a little differently depending on my fasting experience. And then here Azalea kind of shared. As a newbie, I was very careful about preparing to fast, as well as refeeding. Yeah, for refeeds, I lack the ease of control that I have now. I ate conservatively. So, like in that, and that's probably the safer way of doing it, is to start off eating conservatively and seeing how you feel after a refeed, especially after a longer one. As an experienced faster, I ease into refeeds longer than 50 hours, and particularly in refeeds longer than 80. In order to go to a Korean restaurant, where a lot of foods do have more sugar than Korean food is traditionally made, I would have to break my fast at least a day before. So again, those are just some. I'm not going to read everything in here, but yeah, kind of like what Azalea is saying, it really is going to be dependent on what works for you. And going the conservative route, starting that way, is honestly the better way, just to be sure that you're okay before you start diving into something that's just, I'm going to eat everything and let's just see what happens. I'm going to be out with 25 people and I'm just going to eat whatever after a 100 something hour fast. You don't want to put yourself in that position. Okay. I am going to scroll up here to go, because that was my last question that I had there. I'm going to go through a couple questions before we kind of call it quits. Um, I know this is a much longer fast than I had initially thought it was going to be, but I want to just see if I can go through this. One third asks, have you noticed any benefits other than weight loss? A ton. I sleep better. I'm pretty sure my type 2 diabetes blood sugar is a lot more under control. I'm going to the doctor in, I think, a week and a half or 2 weeks. So when I get those numbers, I'll let you know. Did I say I have a lot more energy? uh, my blood pressure is probably a lot better because I do have high blood pressure. I sleep better. Outside of weight loss, I mean, in a way, losing weight makes me a lot more confident in my skin. I'm more outgoing. Overall, my mind, my mental state just is a lot happier, is a lot healthier. So, yeah, there's a lot of other benefits than just weight loss. But even with that being said, eventually I'm going to start wearing my old clothes again, which are youth clothes, because I used to wear youth large, and clothes are cheaper when you buy them in boys sizes. So that's another bonus for me. I noticed that I walk faster because I've lost all that weight. I know that's weight loss, but that's just another benefit. So that's good. I know the next time I get on a plane, I'm not going to feel as self-conscious like I'm taking up too much space or like encroaching in someone else's space, but that's more like a self thing. There's a lot, and I'm probably not naming all of it, but I I'm not as hot as I used to be. I used to I can't even tell you how long the AC would be on just because I was hot all day. The fan had to be right in front of my face because I was just so overweight. There's a lot of things. I'm not even naming them all. So um yeah. Um Debbie, hi Debbie. I Debbie's always very um Debbie's always very engaging in like comments and lives. So always love seeing you here. Do you have any advice for people who have hypothyroidism? Um, so you might have to give me a little teaching here because I don't remember exactly what hypothyroidism is. Is that where hypothyroidism where you have a hard time losing weight because your metabolism is slower? I I don't know if I really have info when it comes to that kind of thing for people who have hypothyroidism. That's actually something I'd be a little curious about how people can use fasting as an advantage to deal with something like that. Again, I'm not sure if I'm defining it correctly. Um, but maybe I'll do a little research because I'm a little curious how fasting could be beneficial for someone who is dealing with that. Sorry, Debbie. I wish I had a better answer. I don't because I don't deal with that. I'm not really sure how to go about that. Mr. VO, I was just talking about that. With the weight loss, do you notice you get colder easier than before? Absolutely. I even now when I go for my walks in the morning and like today, I think the high was like 38. I wear compression shirts and compression pants to keep me warmer because I am a lot colder than I used to be. I'm not freezing cold, but colder. Definitely colder for sure. Um, Trini Mama, hi Trini, how's it going? I just joined tonight's session. On average, how much weight did you gain when you refeed? So actually, I just shared this, and I'll share it really quick with you, uh, and we can kind of just go over it really quick. So these are my. I'm going to hide this so we can see all of this. These. This is how much weight I typically gain after a refeed. Not typically. This is the weight I've gained after a refeed. So you'll see somewhere between 2 to 5.8, but somewhere around 3 to 4. Although this very last refeed, I gained 6.4 pounds, which was maybe a little concerning for me. So, but typically, I would say somewhere between 3 and 5 pounds is about normal per refeed. So, hopefully that's helpful. Um, Paul, did you say you reversed your type 2 diabetes? I did. If so, can you talk a little bit more about that? So I will only give you the info that I had back in 2019, 2020 when I had initially lost all the weight. But when I was diagnosed when I was 22 years old, 22, 23, it was 2003 I was diagnosed. 22. When I was 22, I was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. My blood sugar at the time was over 500, I think, when they did a quick fasting check. So it was like 5 times plus the normal limit. At that time, I was eating and drinking. I think I had weighed around 235. That was like the most I ever weighed then. Um, in 2019, 2020, I started checking my sugar every day, and my blood sugar was around the 80s, sometimes the 70s to 80s. Like it had just completely reversed with I didn't have to take medication anymore. My A1C was at a normal rate. I couldn't tell you what that number was, but that's really all I can share when it comes to that. I didn't have to take medication anymore. I'll let you know what my numbers look like in the next 2 weeks. I know it gets harder the older you get. I hope I'm still healthy enough where I might not need to take meds. I haven't been taking any meds. I've had meds for a while. I haven't taken any in I don't know how long now. Ever since I started fasting and losing weight, I just stopped taking it because I just want to go to the doctor and make sure I should be taking it or I shouldn't be, but we'll see what the numbers look like. I can give you more info when I go to the doctor. Once I do, I'm going to share all of that. So, Azalea asks, you said you have a small size 38 pants in the closet. Not small, but yes, a 38 waist. Um, 38 waist is what I used to wear. Would you share your current and prior 3 months ago pant size for non-scale perspective? Um, yeah, actually, let me do that really quick. Hold on, hold on. Okay, all right. Let me just show you. So this is. Oh, actually, this one's well. This one's a 34. I don't know where my 38 is, but let me just give you perspective of like because this is I put a bunch of my big clothes back in storage, and this is the only pair that I have right now. But just to it's still it's harder to show, but like here's a pair of like athletic pants that I'm wearing right now. Not right now, but if you see the difference, and like I was wearing pants bigger than this. Also, hold on one second. So I don't know if this is going to show well, but this is an extra large shirt. And remember, I'm wearing a small, and this is a small sweater. So actually, that doesn't look that bad, but you could tell. So like when I button it, you'll see in the arms too, because I'm short, that these extra larges, like it's just, but there's so much anyway, I don't know, maybe it doesn't show as well, but I wish I had my other polo, my extra large polo, because I would have put that on to show, but I can't. I didn't think this was gonna happen today. So anyway, I don't know, maybe that helps a little bit. So um did I just get a super chat? I did. Let me scroll down. Legendary bastard with a $5 super chat. Hey, welcome back. Thank you for the support. This might have been asked already, but have you got loose skin with the weight loss? Yeah, I talked about it earlier. Or did autophagy help you eliminate it? Not eliminated. I have loose skin on my neck, upper arms, upper thighs, and even when I was 125, when I had lost the weight 4 years ago, I had loose skin then too, and my belly, especially my belly. That's where most of it was, and it wasn't going away. I don't think it would ever go away. I mean, I guess you never know, but if you saw the amount of loose skin I have, especially my belly, I just don't think that's something that would go away. I don't think I would ever feel comfortable sharing that. But if you saw my last live or the videos where I was showing the video of like my stomach and how out it was, somebody had even commented and asked if that was like Photoshop because it looked like I was pregnant. But like that's how big my belly was. And that's just been like that for decades. And to think that my body would just get rid of that loose skin. If you saw the amount of loose skin when I weighed 125 versus when I was like 220, like I just don't think it would. But legendary bastard, thank you for the support. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome. Um, okay. Let me get back up here. Oh, Zell, you're asking what 28s look like versus my 30. I'll have to get a pair of my 38s and the 28s to show you the example. Um, Jay Lopez, keep it up, Jerome. Thank you, Jay Lopez. Do you try to hit a certain amount of protein when you refeed? I don't, but I do eat a lot of protein. When I eat my refeeds, I always structure it the same way. I always start with a big salad and then protein, like as much protein as I usually can eat. I don't count it, but Italian sausage or chicken or beef or steak. I just try to have some meat with vegetables. And then after eating that, that's kind of when I go on to my next. But I still have a pretty decent amount. I don't know how much though. I haven't counted. I haven't really looked into it that way. It's just not something I try to pay too much attention to, but I do make sure that I get my protein in. Fasting asks, do you recommend buying water that has electrolytes on it already? For example, Smart Water or Evian or other brands. First of all, fasting just really cool. And I don't know if I've seen you in here before, but welcome. I don't recommend buying water that has electrolytes in it, especially when it's Smart Water or even things like Gatorade or whatever. If you look into it, they actually don't put the amount of electrolytes you really need per day, especially when you're fasting. There are other packets. I know Snake Diet, I think, has one where it actually gives you the recommended daily. I think Element, a lot of people talk about that. I think people in chat will probably be a lot more helpful that way in buying those. But I just make my own, and I just use table salt, iodized table salt, magnesium, and then I take potassium, which I use no salt, and then I take magnesium pills to get my electrolytes in cheaper. But if you need something more convenient, you might want to look into those. I don't recommend buying Smart Water or something that says it has electrolytes in it, because I don't think it's going to be the actual amount that you need. Also, you couldn't take that amount of, you're not supposed to take that much. You're not supposed to take a daily amount of electrolytes in one sitting. That's something that you have to take throughout the day. So, the key coal. Sorry, I said that wrong. I discovered you when you were doing break fast. Those coming back, maybe that's going to take more time. Here's the thing, guys. I've been considering maybe doing YouTube full time, but I just don't know if I can actually swing it with the money. I have thought about maybe doing Finally Fasting as a full-time YouTuber, posting maybe content 4 times a week, but I would really have to, it would really, yeah, I don't know if I could survive doing that. I say all that because I would love to do break fast, but it takes more production and I just don't have the time to do it with the schedule I have. But I would like to bring it back if I could. We'll see. We'll see. Bonnie, I see your 50 Shades of Grey comment. Sorry, guys. Okay. I'm just seeing if there's any other questions here, just really quick before I kind of can you show us your abs? I have 0 abs. I have 1 ab, which is just my belly. I'm sorry. Can't help you out there. Let's see. No, I think that's it. Okay. Oh, Chop has one more. Do you have any ideas why your results are so good compared to other fasters? I mean, what other fasters do you know that are doing 90-hour fasts back to back for the last 3 months? I mean, show me that, because I would imagine if somebody was doing 90-hour fast back to back for the last 3 months, they would have pretty good results, is my guess. Especially if they don't eat as much as I do during a refeed. So, yeah. Sure. Yeah, I don't know. I felt weird saying that comment. I didn't mean it to say it like that. Okay. Guys, we are in the 2 hour mark. I think we might kind of call it here. Before I do go, I do want to thank everybody again today for being in chat, showing your accountability, sharing your story, being active with everyone else, being respectful to everyone else. I think that's really important. And I really appreciate you guys showing love here and just being part of the community. It means a lot to me because it is also very helpful and motivating for me. I say this, I think, almost in every stream, but I do read all the comments. Every live stream that I end, once I end it, I read every single comment. I go through each one. I can't help it. It's just nice to see how everyone's doing and seeing the same kind of names pop up and just having you part of the community. It means a lot to me. It really does. I know it's funny because I've been on YouTube for a long time because I used to have a channel before finally fasting. And I've been watching YouTube for a long time. And I know there are some people who are just doing it for whatever, but like I genuinely mean it when like I show like my love for you guys because it really does mean a lot to me for you guys to be here and for me to share what I've been going through and like the ups and downs and even after failing, and like failing isn't the word I really want to use, but when I was gone for almost 2.5 years and I went through my depression and my stressful like eating moments and using it to cope and coming back, and for all of you, so many of you, to welcome me back and we were waiting for you and all of that, like it, I cannot be more thankful because it was such a catalyst for me to start fasting again and to start setting an example again of what I used to do. Except the difference today is my mindset, like the way I think about things is so much different. And I think that's going to be really the key to my success. And I'm hoping that the stuff I learn and the stuff I try to pass on will be the keys to your success too. Um, that's it. I kind of just want to end things off again to always remind all of you that the weight on the scale does not define who you are. The weight on the scale is just a number. And yeah, we use it as a motivating way to keep going, and there's nothing wrong with that. But at the end of the day, it's just a number. And who you are today, that's the really important part. I've been in a lot of places in my life where I'm not happy with the way I look or how I feel, but you got to learn to accept who you are so you can move on to where you want to be or where you want to go, that you're worth more than just what that number says. There are people out there who care and love about you, who love and care about you. And I say this I say this with all the meaning in the world because I let my eating disorder destroy relationships. And I just don't want to go back to that. And it's not perfect. I still have a very hard time dealing with a lot of things, but just the important part here is to continue loving yourself for who you are today, because you don't want to lose those moments that you can't take back because you let the way you eat or the shame or the guilt get in the way. Love yourself, respect yourself, accept yourself. I'll be back in 2 days with a video, let you know if I'm staying in the 150s or where I'm at, or if I decide to keep doing 90s or switch over. But you're here for the ride. I know you guys are, and I respect not respect. I'm thankful. I'm thankful. I'm grateful. I'm both that you guys are here. So I will see you guys soon. I think that's all I have, right? Yep. That's it. Okay. Take it easy, guys. I'm going. Bye.